Welcome to All the Things They Don't Want You to Talk About podcast. This podcast will explore all the subjects that make the insecure squirm in their seats. Religion, politics, local and national, the Constitution of the United States, the wheel of love and hate, and mental illness, to just name a few. Stay with us as we use our freedom of speech to delve into the good and the bad. If this podcast is not for you, feel free to find another one. Without any further ado, here comes all the things they don't want you to talk about. All right, thank you for joining in to another episode of All the Things They Don't Want You to Talk About. You can check us out on the web at tabootalkback.com, or you can find us anywhere that you podcast. We are on every podcast outlet imaginable right now. Yes, so, and you can find all. Well, go ahead. What was that question over there?
Who is they?
Who is that? Well, first of all, let's introduce who's in the show. Scott T. Good. That's the voice of Scott T. Good day to you.
Good day.
Amanda Jones is here in the studio. Good morning to, or good day to you, or good any time that you're watching. Day. Yes, good day. Mason Dixon.
Hey there, how y'all doing, everybody?
That's Mason Dixon and Gina Johnston-Small.
Is she really here?
She is really here for the show. So
wow.
Yeah. Well, I guess really what we didn't have a specific topic to talk about at this point, but what I wanted to do was, number one, get out another podcast and to add.
Is this number 2?
This will really be number 3
because you did the lifeguards.
The last one on lifeguards was really kind of the first official. The first one that I podcasted was actually our radio show where we talked about doing this. Yeah.
The origin story.
Yes. So, and if you go to tabootalkback.com, you can see the kind of things we wanted that we're going to be covering with this. All the things that they don't want you to talk about, such as conspiracy theories, religion. We're going to be talking about local and national politics. Or we're talking about mental health, because mental health is certainly a big issue these days. A lot of folks that need it aren't getting it. And what else do we're going to talk about? 7 deadly sins. I was talking to a pastor the other day, and he said when he saw the 7 deadly sins thing, that really kind of perked him up, because he's been talking about it for years.
I really hope that we do have that one.
If we can get him in,
hear his point of view on things.
I would too. Yeah, I'm not going to divulge anything else about him because you'll figure out who it is. But if he comes on the show, that would certainly be awesome. And I did talk to Mylan Bittenbender also to talk about something. I would really like to get, as far as, doing a religion thing, I almost kind of want to have 3 different people, 3 different pastors or from different denominations.
Oh, yeah, because it's a joke right there. A priest, a rabbi, and a minister walk into a
Rob
bar.
Dog.
Yeah, that I'll walk to Rob Dog studio. Well, not really, but what I want to kind of do is you do one with each one and kind of cover the same thing with each one, so you can see the differences of philosophy between the religions, and even see the differences of philosophy between the people, the head men in these religions, the pastors and the priests. And
yeah, and it's a good thing too to realize that everybody's brain can interpret things differently.
Yeah, and we do. I mean, I can read a paragraph here and I get one thing totally different than what Amanda gets from it, or even totally different what Gina reads in there, because I've had someone say, oh, well, that's a really huge threat, and I'm like, well, that's not how I read that. So it's we see things differently.
We did.
Yes, yeah, and that just goes for everybody. We all see things differently, and being able to talk to each other and actually see some of their viewpoints. A lot of times you do it whether you think or not. You may have a viewpoint, you talk to somebody, and next thing you know, your viewpoint's just a little bit different. You brought a little bit in. You learned something, and that happens. Yeah. It does happen. It doesn't seem like it does, but it does. But the purpose of the one that we want to do today is kind of explore what things we'd like to talk about as far as topics of conspiracies. Because there are so many out there. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, ton of government conspiracies for one. And then, of course, there's like the Paul McCartney. He died when he was 16 or whatever. And this is a different Paul McCartney because the Queen of England did not want all these young girls to be committing suicide because Paul McCartney is dead. So they brought in a new one. You talk about Paperclip, Project Paperclip, which was the after World War II, when Nazi Germany was taken down, the United States and all other countries, Russia, they took all of those doctors that were doing those
and
scientists doing those horrible experiments, and they brought them here to continue those experiments. And a lot of those folks also went to I think Venezuela or Argentina was where they even say, well, that's where Hitler went because he really didn't die.
Yeah.
So,
and how about the moonwalk? Because that was, as a video producer, you should be interested in that one.
I am interested in that one.
They said they built a big old barn and they had video production in there, and they convinced the whole world.
The whole world. Because the moon landing is so cool, I want it to be real. I want all that to be real. But now that these astronauts who were there and they've covered up all these years and are dying, they're starting to divulge some true facts.
Do you think they might have brainwashed the astronauts? Like the astronauts might not have even known.
But I have no idea.
Because there was one astronaut that even said he became a painter and he started using moon dust in his paintings, and it cost a lot of money. And how'd he get that if he wasn't on the moon?
That's right. Well, because it wasn't really moon dust. And I mean, you look at the moon rocks that they have in the museums. Well, those look like rocks that look like limestone rocks that you can find in a limestone quarry. So I don't know. I want it to be real because, I mean, what could be cooler than going to the moon? But then again, when we want to talk more conspiracy theories about the moon, is on the dark side of the moon, there are alien bases. We talk about projection, astral projection. Back in the CIA still uses it, where people come in and they use their brain to travel to other places. Sorry for the interruption, but I want to make sure I make one thing clear here. Every time that I say astral projection, I mean remote viewing. Thank you very much for your understanding. And now back to all the things they don't want you to talk about. And they had a guy who was really good at it, 70s or 80s, whatever it was. He went there and astral projected himself onto the moon and said, there's a base here and there are aliens here. And he's watching them, describing what's going on. And all of a sudden they turned and looked at him.
You sure that wasn't just mushrooms?
I was about to say.
Or angel dust.
What the heck
moon
is
dust? It's
you
the
said
moon
he
dust.
goes there in his brain. How do you know it's
we've
real?
been doing that forever. I have to look up the exact term. I can't believe I can't remember it right now.
No, I think that's right. Astral projection.
Astral projection. We've been doing it forever. Did you ever see the movie? Oh my goodness.
Porky's?
Yeah, we talked about that on the radio show. No, this was a movie with Dreamscape was the name of the movie with Dennis Quaid. And they were psychics, and they were experimenting with when people would fall into a dream state, that these psychics could go into their dreams and manipulate their dreams. And they had one that was one of these guys that they brought in to do that was bad. And he was going into the president's dream to assassinate the president in his dream when Dennis Quaid went in there and saved the president within the dream.
Wow.
Dreamscape. Yeah, really, really. It's kind of that. It's the same. It's by astral projection and going into, traveling through your brain to go anywhere. I mean, to Mars, to all that stuff. So whether it's true or not, there are lots of stories about it.
Well, isn't there an alien base in Antarctica too?
Well, they say that's way under the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that and
the Nazis were there as well.
The Nazis were there, and there was back in the day there was a huge fight for Antarctica. Why? It's nothing but a ice.
Because there's an alien base
because there's something else there.
So penguins might really be aliens.
Birds
aren't real.
What?
Are they considered a bird? Birds aren't real.
What do you mean birds aren't real?
They're government surveillance.
That's crazy.
That is a conspiracy.
It could be, but I've had a lot of birds in my hand, and they sure didn't feel like a robot. They were warm, and I mean, you can call me the bird whisperer because I mean, go back to my Facebook. I've got pictures of all kinds of birds in my hand. I mean, it's kind of cheating because I hit them with a window, but. I mean, actually, they flew into a window.
Well, back to your astral projection, they just call that dissociative disorder in the psychology world.
Yeah, of course. Wherever there is something that is unexplainable, that's the kind of names they come up with. But that's it's something to look up. Yeah, and there has been a lot of stories on it, and there's a lot of people that believe it's real. And I can't... I wish I would have wrote this down, but there was a guy with AM radio, but he was back in the day. He was the only, Art Bell was his name. He was the only one that was talking about all this stuff on the AM dial. And there's great stories. There's a great story about this guy's hole in his backyard that goes down to nothing. You throw it, you never hear anything hit the ground. They would lower sheep or dogs into it, and they would come back, and they would be different. People threw all their trash in there for years and years. One guy said, I threw my dog in there after he died. He threw his dog down this pit, and he said about a week later, he saw his very dog running around. And the dog was alive, but wouldn't come to him and was actually kind of feral and mean at that point. So
could it have been a different dog?
Well, I mean, that's what most people would say. That would logically, yeah, that's a different dog. But the guy's like, no, this is my dog, and it looks just like him. I mean, I would know what my dog looked like later.
Now they have microchips that can prove that. Sort of like that Maury Povich, who's your daddy?
Well, maybe he had disassociated disorder.
Something like that. But there's all kinds of, I said, there's, JFK assassination.
One bullet.
Yeah, I mean, forever it was a conspiracy theory that the CIA, that we had no involvement. Well, now it's known, very well known, that our own CIA was involved with JFK's assassination. I mean, to me, that's why they're good. They're fun to talk about, conspiracy theories, for one. You can make jokes, and they're fun to talk about. But the problem with it is as time goes on, they turn into conspirafacts. And, the government and people use, that's a conspiracy, to deflect. It's a matter of deflection. Oh, that's just a conspiracy. Well, to me, just about every conspiracy kind of starts with a nugget of truth. And more people get found out about what's going on, and they just deny, conspiracy. Well, like I said, JFK died in what, 60s?
Yep.
And so 40, 60 something years later, we're finally finding out that our CIA was involved. Mm-hmm. Crazy. To me, that's just crazy. And this is something that's been happening over and over and over again with our government and other governments. We think that they're out there trying to do great things. No, they're not. And the problem with it is there's two things that ends up with especially with government. And money and power. What are the two things most people would like to lose in their life when they have it? Money and power. Money first, because you can buy power with money. You can't necessarily buy things with power. Okay? You can be successful and have a lot of power and not have any money. That does happen. But power, once you have money, you really have all the power in the world to do whatever you want and manipulate whoever you want if you decide to use it in that way.
I think that becomes the norm, but I think knowledge and education would override both of them.
Not always.
Well, all right, let's talk education for just a second. And this is not a conspiracy theory. The national reading level of the United States is 7th and 8th grade. Okay, so that is so low. How do you combat that when people can't think past an 8th grade level?
Well, then the whole nation stays dumb because they have to write news articles that people can read and understand, or people just don't read it because they don't understand it.
Yeah, in my college writing classes for video, what they told us, they said you need to write to the lowest median level when you produce a video. So when I'm doing it, I should write and produce it as if I was making this for 8th graders.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's in the United States, where there is unlimited education available to you, free. Those that can't afford it can usually get free college. We should be getting way past a 7th and 8th grade reading level.
But then there's a whole education system was just designed so people could be good factory workers.
Fine. That makes the United States run. And, but
it doesn't help them think for themselves. It's contributing to everything you're complaining about.
Anybody else want to field that one? I guess not.
I don't. No. I'm not understanding.
The whole thing they designed. They needed to have more factory workers for the Industrial Revolution, so they put in an education system where people start at 8 o'clock and they go home at 3.
They programmed you for that,
and the bell rings and all of that. So
a lot of people, that's good for them, and they like that type of. I guess lifestyle continuity in their life.
That's just getting them ready for the world.
Monday through Friday, like I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing, I know what my paycheck's going to be. Then you have other people that are just different. I don't think anything is bad, but I don't think that people should stay uneducated. But
I don't think the education system is serving the people that are going to be free thinkers.
Because not everybody needs to go to college. Not everything needs to be a college. It can be a trade school. It can be a lot of things.
I'll say to this day, I mean, I went for 5 years to Ferris, And I went for baseball. I didn't go for the education. I went for baseball, parties, and girls. And then I, by chance, got an education at the same time. And I always say, if I would have, out of high school, found a production company doing that same thing, by the end of 4 or 5 years, I may not have a piece of paper saying I have accomplished something. I would actually be accomplishing the real thing that I was going to school for by that time.
Oh, yeah, I'd agree. Because for mixed media and stuff that I do, when I went to Kendall, same type of thing. I could have learned everything I learned on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it was nice being in a classroom setting with other people who are creative and collaborating and just experiencing the whole thing. So I wouldn't recommend not going to school, but don't go into debt. You don't need to go into debt to go to school. Yeah.
Well, and we don't need to go. We don't want you going into debt so we can pay it off for you later.
Right.
That's really kind of my point.
Some of it's just ridiculous.
I think that the fact that our government is paying anybody's student loan, that the contract that they signed legally is paying them off with your money.
Rob, they're selling hopes and dreams to these parents. I've been to some of these art schools where they're telling these kids, so-and-so worked with this designer and that and this and that. And then the parents are literally going, oh, my kid is going to make it. Yeah. And, $80,000.
That's how we've been programmed.
$80,000 later, they move in back home with mom when they get
I mean, you got to look back in the 50s, 60s. You had your factory workers. You had, go to college, be this, be this, be this. Right. Well, not. I mean, in my eyes, everybody should take like an aptitude test, like we did when we went in the military, and they said this is where you're best at. I think we would have more productive human beings by doing so, like at the 7th, 8th grade level, to say let's do an aptitude test.
I don't think that an aptitude test should be what determines you, because then you
should take that to vote.
Well. You should be able to do what lights you up and makes you excited. You might not be the best at it because you don't have no experience, but in 10 years you might have all the experience and be best at it, and then you enjoyed what you was doing.
Well, it's very true, but a lot of times if you have an aptitude for a certain thing, you're going to go towards that anyway because that's what you enjoy.
You have an aptitude to make a choice, and that's what makes the United States different from China. They'll do aptitude tests and say, this is what you are. Now, that's what you're going to do.
That's kind of what they did at House of David, didn't they?
Yeah. You say, this is what we found out what you like, and then we're going to put you there. Where now you can take your aptitude test and say, well, you know what, you should be a writer, and the guy says, I don't want to be a writer. Well, that's fine. But in China, they say you should be a writer. Guess what that guy's going to be? He's going to be a writer for the government.
Yeah.
So conspiracies to me are certainly something, they're fun to do, but it's something you need to keep your eye on, because there's, like I said, there always seems to be a nugget of truth with every conspiracy when it comes out. And then when it eventually comes out, it's like, wow, that is we've been way closer to the truth than we knew. And that certainly happens. I mean, everybody for 70 years have been saying we were involved with JFK, and someone just showed me a video. It was really weird, and he goes, watch how fast this happens. And it looked like the driver who was driving the car that quickly swung his arm around, took a shot, and didn't even look. He just turned, took a shot, and kept on driving. It was really kind of strange. But then again, we are in the, not to use the term that our new government is using about Joe Biden when he walks off into nowhere, calling it cheap deep fakes, that all those videos are fake, that's not really Joe Biden walking off and not knowing where he's going. So we are in a world of deep fakes and AI. Now, you have to be savvy enough to be able to look at a deep fake and an AI and say, you know what, that is a deep fake. Now, how do you do that when our country's education level is 7th to 8th grade? How do a lot of these people even be able to decipher between the truth and a lie?
How about when they doing the show, whatever TV show it is and stuff, and they show people walking up into the door, and then the next thing you know, they're showing the cameraman inside the door with the same scene, and it's like people want to believe that this is really happening and going on, and you know that they had to get that TV camera set up inside the house before they had that walk up thing, but people just want to believe it.
The meet and greet when you see, hey, we're gonna go check out this guy at his house, and they're doing the DIY, and then they all walk up, oh, hi, it's good to see you. Well, guess what? They planned that.
Yeah.
that was planned.
Yeah.
And you watch your your reality TV shows, like what was the one where they put them on an island or whatever, and Survivor. Well, there are so many stories, and when you go back and talk to these people that were on it, they're doing their survival thing. They're walking across this ridge, and they walk all the way across it, and the producers say, "Stop. We needed to do it again because we need to set the camera somewhere else, or we need to do this. We want you to do that. We want you to walk this way. We want you had the shovel. We want you to carry it this way instead." Everything when you is Hollywood. It is not real. Any of these reality shows are not real. They plan them out ahead of time, and they specifically ask them to be over the top and from who they really are. So
even Flavor of Love.
Yes, and I mean, and that drops right in the conspiracy of TV. It's called Hollywood. And when I do anything that's supposed to be kind of reality, I don't do that. I catch it as it is. And if we don't get it the way it is, we miss it. We don't ask them to do it again unless it's a vital shot. But typically, we're not shooting it in a reality situation. I'm shooting in a marketing situation where we're making a video that's going to be advertising your company or doing whatever. We want to make sure the shot is right and looks good. That's different. Reality TV is not reality and never anywhere close.
I don't watch it.
Yeah. Well, I wonder why you were looking at me with all that blank look in your face. Hollywood is not real.
Oh, no.
Hollywood is, I mean, there's some serious conspiracy theories about them with adrenochrome. That they're
What's adrenochrome?
Adrenochrome. It is a chemical that your body makes, and that the conspiracy, or what they say they've been doing it, is they harvest it from prepubescent teens. And when prepubescent teens are in a situation of strife, or they're scared, they act like we're going to kill you, and they get all scared. They harvest it from the brain, and then they take it.
How?
I don't know.
And it's like a liquid or what?
It's yeah. Look into it.
Well, I wouldn't believe it, but there was that millionaire in California that was he was taking his younger son's blood and filtering it through his own to try to stay younger. So then you hear stories like that's in the news, and you're like, well, what if all this really is true?
Do you remember when Charlie Sheen says, "I'm on tiger's blood"?
Yeah.
That was adrenochrome, probably from a tiger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And you can go on, you can look at pictures of like Kathy Griffin. They'll show you where it's here and there. And here's when she was on adrenochrome. Here's when she wasn't. And her skin's almost falling off her face on the two different pictures. It's certainly something to, it's certainly a conspiracy.
And then that makes you wonder about the human trafficking part of it with all these, missing kids.
Yeah. And they say that the Clintons were big into sacrificing kids for adrenochrome. And that's that's just kind of nuts. But they said that's
Bill must have been off that for a long time.
Well, and I'm gonna and another one is, do you remember 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was, when like Hillary Clinton's got a boot on and a bunch of them got boots? They all have these boots. What the theory on that was, those are trackers. And most people say Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, they've already been found guilty in a military tribunal and executed. They're dead. They say that these are actually shape-shifting aliens that are taking their place on whatever their agenda is. We don't know. And there maybe, I don't want to say there's truth in that, but there has been a few pictures where they've taken pictures of Joe Biden's earlobe. And on one day, his earlobe is attached, and on another time, it's unattached. That don't happen. So, yeah.
It gets into a lot of the Q conspiracy.
And it gets in a lot of Q stuff. But
there's a lot of Q, like...
What's Q?
It's QAnon. And it's a pretty intense group. It's very intense.
Yeah.
I know quite a few people that follow it, and they can read the tracker, and there's a lot.
Yeah,
I don't even know how to start.
It's a little too much for me as far as what they're doing, but like I said, any conspiracy, there is a nugget of truth where it starts. It started for a reason. And if you don't question what the government tells you, if you don't question what anybody tells you, and you just take everything that you hear as face value, you are nothing but a drone.
Right.
If, Amanda came on the show and we said some things where she's like, no, that's not true. That's not true. I don't believe it. She went and did her research from left-leaning publications, which corroborated what we're saying. So it wasn't that we were talking as far right or as Republicans. We were saying this is what happened. This is what's happening. Well, guess what? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got quite a bit of government ones that I think we should look into.
You got a list of some there?
Well, yeah, I got the Tuskegee experiments. That's been proven.
Right.
They were doing in the military. African American men were given certain shots to see the reactions. Blah blah blah. They were lied about what they got.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's some other ones that I don't know too much about that I do want to look and read more about. Operation Northwoods, Operation Paperclip, like we've talked.
Right.
Top Hat, the Flint water supply.
Yeah.
MK Ultra, Operation Sea Spray, Holmesburg Program, Human Radiation Experiments, Operation Dew, Project 112, Operation Whitecoat, Operation Mockingbird, and then plutonium experiments through 45 to 47.
Now, and there's even, you talk about Alice in Wonderland. There are a lot of conspiracies that come from Alice in Wonderland. And one is the rabbit. And they're going down the hole. I'm going to bring this up. And it's a Trump watch.
Was Alice in the Wonderland, was that a Disney or who made that?
I believe it was Lewis Carroll.
He wrote the book, but somebody made somebody made the movie.
Disney does have one. A few. They have a live action and then the kid cartoon.
So, and in this conspiracy theory with that, they talk about Barron Trump being a time traveler and that he's been traveling through time. And one of the reasons why is there's a watch right here, which was it's in the British Museum, and it's called the Ingersoll Trump watch. It says Trump right on it. And there was no Trump back then. And then you also talk about, so the Trump watch, and let's see, Barron Trump's books. And when you look at these books, the Barron Trump, this book was written in, oh come on internet, was written in 1890, and it's part of the Barron Trump collection, Travels and Adventures of Little Barron Trump and His Wonderful Dog Bulger.
Sounds like a fiction book.
Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, the last President. I mean, that's the title of it. That book was written in 1890. 1890, that book was written.
Huh.
Yeah. So
I'm looking at that right now.
Dig
That's
deep.
Interesting.
I'm telling you, dig deep. The Last President was written in 1990, and it fits Donald Trump's life. The Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. That one was written in 1893. Published in 1893.
Could it just be a coincidence?
Could it be? Yes. Could it not be? Maybe not. I don't know. That's why it's a conspiracy. But when you see things like that is when it should start to make you go, Oh,
so it says the discovery of the novels led to some online conspiracy theorists, including 4chan users and QAnon, claiming that it proved Donald and or Barron Trump had engaged in time travel. This was often accompanied with claims that John G. Trump, a scientist and uncle of Donald, had created a time machine along Nikola Tesla.
See what I'm talking about?
Well,
why do you think all of Nikola Tesla's, when he died, all his work can now no longer be found? When he died, the government stole all of it. They stole all of it.
Research.
Trunks and trunks upon stuff. They stole it. And they've been using it. Tesla was going to give us all free electricity for the entire world because it's in our air. We can take it and pull it. And he knew how to do it. Well,
they did stuff at the pyramids.
You can't have that because that's going to take money away from your electric companies. We can't. There's. And I'm here to tell you, there's a cure for cancer. It's in someone's basement. It's somewhere in a basement. It's locked away. And for all cancers, you take this, it's going to cure all cancers. Well, pharmaceutical companies can't have that. How many billions upon billions of dollars will they now lose if if you can treat something and cure it, because treatment pays way more than a cure. And
well, even if you go further back than that, I mean, you look into the Bible, we were all given the power to heal. Through Jesus, we were given the power to heal. Where did that get squashed?
Anunnaki. Then when you talk about the aliens, Anunnaki, the lizard people that would say living in the center of the earth, the Anunnaki are the ones that have changed us, because that they said they came here because there was a huge change from Neanderthal man to modern day. I mean, it happened like that. It was in the evolutionary cycle. It happened overnight. And that the Anunnaki did that, changed our DNA, and that's why we still have, some people have lizard DNA in their DNA.
So you're talking about evolution, and Scott T over there is quoting Bible verses.
Well, I think they're intertwined. I don't think that it's the evolution and the Bible are separate. They're two things that have coincidence and have things that work together. I'm not a Bible scholar whatsoever, but evolution, when you think about it, why are we the only people or the only species on this planet that's susceptible to UV and skin cancer? Why don't we have hair? Every other species on this planet either has fur or feathers to protect them from UV. We have none.
Not the reptiles and amphibians.
What
about the
Will someone hit him?
What about the hairless mole rat?
Yeah.
I guess they're underground.
Yeah, they stay underground.
I don't know too much.
They have some hairless dogs.
Your reptiles don't get skin cancer. That's how their whole bodies function, is on the sun, on regulation of the sun.
Okay, but what about Planet of the Apes?
Which one?
That's not real. And then
how do you know? How do you know it ain't based in reality?
It is a reality TV.
Yeah. All right.
No, but it's interesting. It brings up all them questions like, why did we keep apes in cages when they are intelligent beings, and if humans weren't around, they might be running the show?
Well, I can tell you right now, if there was a silverback in this room and just you and him, he'd probably kill you if it was wild.
Well, they've already seen like things in raccoons and stuff like that. Their evolution process is more rapid than other animals. They're getting smarter, faster. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, I saw a thing. It was like on one of those shows.
Well, why do we keep all the other ones in cages?
What? All other
every prison in this world.
I mean, well, because humans we're conquerors.
Are terrible.
Yeah. We're conquerors and controllers. That's what we do.
I don't like going to the zoo to look at sad animals in
that
cages.
makes me sad too. I don't mind the snakes in the cages, but even then, I'm not a big fan of zoos. I mean, the big open zoos like the petting zoos, those are kind of cool. The kids can go in and pet. I mean, dirty and nasty as anything, but
but the conditions, it was cool seeing a zebra, but then the zebra didn't look too happy.
No, they're all dirty, and I like seeing them on
they're not
nature films better. Yeah, for sure. So I guess as we do this, I'm certainly, if you're listening out there, feel free to go to talkback or tabootalkback.com, and you can leave a message there for us. I now changed the email address. You can just email me at moondogpro.yahoo.com rather than messing around with that Be Heard thing. But moondogpro1 at yahoo.com.
Yeah, moondogpro1.
Yeah, you can just get a hold of me, straight to me, and I'll get that email and I'll send it to where it needs to go. Feel free to let us know what you think about the podcast. Go ahead, and if you have suggestions from topics you'd like to talk about, whether it's going to be conspiracy theories or the Bible, the Constitution, we're going to be hitting that, local, national, politics, and mental illness. All the things that they don't want you to talk about is what we're going to be talking about. So, feel free to send us a note. And of course, more than anything, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to our podcast. And you'll get notifications every time we release another one. But, keep checking us out. They'll be there. They'll be at tabootalkback.com as well as anywhere that you listen to a podcast. So, Gina Johnston-Small, I know this was kind of an education for you. You're not listen to many of these conspiracy theories because you do the right thing in life. You don't spend so much time in front of TV like I do.
I don't.
Yes.
We didn't watch TV growing up.
She mind her own business and just keep on going.
Yes.
But
yes. But
is it Moondog 1 ONE or number?
Moondog Pro 1 at yahoo.com.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And you can find me pretty easy, Moondog Productions, or even Rob Byrd's Moondog Show, or if you'll find us pretty easy. Not too hard to find me for sure. Mason Dixon.
Yeah, buddy.
Thanks for sticking around. I know that conspiracies aren't your big one, but you are your big subject. But it was certainly nice to have you here.
Thank you.
And Amanda Jones.
Yep.
And she'll, as time goes on, she'll have some research and some stuff on some of the things we're talking about. And Scott T.
I'm just here to cause hate and discontent.
Yeah. And of course, Scott T. and Amanda Jones, they're vets. So I always want to say thank you for what you guys have done for this country, to give us the ability to sit in here and talk about all these things with only a very small chance of reprisal and assassination by the government.
Or could be some from other people.
Pharmaceutical companies.
But, hey, it doesn't say Rob Byrd on the name of the podcast, so you got to introduce yourself on this, too.
I'm the host, Rob Byrd. And I didn't, it's not about me. The podcast is not about me. And now, of course, it's some things that I'm interested in, but it's not about me. So I just dropped my name. It's just all things that they don't want you to talk about. Yeah?
Yeah.
You guys are awesome. We'll see you next time. All the Things They Don't Want You to Talk About podcast is part of the Rob Byrd Moondog Podcast Network. Go to tabootalkback.com for more information. Copyright 2024. All the Things They Don't Want You to Talk About podcast is part of the Rob Byrd Moondog Podcast Network. Go to tabootalkback.com for more information. Copyright 2024.